I'm your host, Marie Benard. This is my boyfriend, Chris Gaskin.
That's me.
And we're joined today by Dr. Susan Campbell. She is one of the co-authors of 5-Minute Relationship Repair, which is a book we've talked about a couple of times on the show. And Chris and I have been using some of the skills, and it, along with Dr. Stan Tatkin's work, has completely transformed our relationship. So we also have you can go to 5minuterelationshiprepair.com and get a free download of the workbook, which is especially useful if you have the book at home. Lots and lots of skills, and it's super helpful. So yeah, we are joined today by Dr. Susan Campbell, and we're going to kind of be doing a combo of interviews / therapy session, so you can get an idea of what a couples therapy session might look like for you. So welcome to the show, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you, Marie. And I'm just meeting Chris. So thank you, Chris, for being bold and coming on here to do this demonstration with us. So I should probably start by saying something about the territory here, what we're hoping to get across to people. One of the things that usually robs couples of the deepest happiness they could have is those periodic moments when somebody gets their button pushed, or we also call it getting triggered. You know, the feeling like, I got to get out of here, or this panic that I did something wrong, or we've lost the love that we had. You know, those moments when something just comes out of your mouth or your partner's mouth, and it's very upsetting. So we call that getting triggered. So we're going to explore that territory today with Chris and Marie.
Awesome. Well, we get triggered a lot less often now, but it still happens.
Yeah.
Just happened the other day. But thanks to 5-Minute Relationship Repair, we're handling it so much better.
Oh, so I'm so happy to hear that.
That's a bit of an understatement, but you know, yeah, a lot better.
Yeah.
You're really doing good. I get that. I'm extremely happy to be with you now so we can hear about some of the things you've learned. But first, I want to reassure our audience that even if you get better at handling triggers, the goal here is not to avoid ever getting triggered. That's a little too high a bar for most people. It's better if our goal is to repair as quickly as possible. Once you learn how to repair in a loving, efficient way, that's why we call the book 5-Minute Relationship Repair, then you're not so afraid of getting triggered. And then it's less hurtful to your own inner being, and you say less hurtful things to your partner. You kind of know how to mitigate triggers. And also you don't blame your partner so much because you're not going into this heavy duty pain trauma that we sometimes do go into when we get triggered by our partner. So the more practice you have, and we're going to learn about this from Chris and Marie, the easier it'll be to just take triggers in stride. So that's our goal, not to get rid of them.
Awesome.
So tell me, Marie and Chris, and I'll let you each say something about a recent triggering event. It doesn't have to be an over-the-top one, but just something that will get us going here to demonstrate for our viewers.
Okay. Well, I always start. Do you want to start?
No.
No.
You start.
Okay. So recently I got triggered. Just the other day I was at work and I checked on my Facebook, and you know, on Facebook it shows like when people were on the last time, and I'd seen he'd been on, or he was on or something, and he didn't say hi to me when I had asked him in the morning, will you check in with me and say hi on Facebook? And because I've done all this work, I kind of knew, okay, this is my issue. He hasn't done anything wrong, yet I still felt myself get triggered. So I did reach out to him, and we worked through it. But in the past, that one little thing could have turned into an all-day fight where we might consider breaking up.
Let me walk you through your piece of it first, Marie, so that we can show the audience some of the elements of a triggering event. Because what we want to do is to become more mindful of all the elements of a triggering event. So there's the event itself, looking on Facebook and seeing that he's been on there. You know, we call that the triggering event. So it's very good, and for anybody who's working with us at home, to think of your own triggering event right now. Just some little thing that got you going, that got you upset, or thinking, oh my God, this relationship is going downhill and all that. So when you saw Facebook, do you remember any kind of body sensation or emotion that came up? Because that's the first kind of early warning signal that we're getting triggered.
Yeah, and there were actually a couple of triggers, but I felt immediately, I noticed I felt sad, very sad and hurt.
Well, you got right to, here's what I'm thinking right now, is you got right to your core feelings. So I just want to say, good work, Marie. A lot of people don't get to their core feelings right away. Core feelings are things like hurt, sadness, and just that emotional pain feeling, not even knowing what to call it. So some people, just so that people in the audience don't feel left out, some people will feel, I don't know, like somebody stabbed me in the chest, or a knot in my gut, or like real big energy in your arms and hands, which is usually associated with anger. Or some people feel completely like all the blood drains out of you and you just kind of feel numb. So that's kind of the other type of person who kind of shuts down when they get triggered. So, you know, triggering doesn't always mean a big reaction. Some people tend to shut down. So that was great. You felt sad and hurt. So that would be your feeling. Did you have any story? We want to help people realize that our mind makes up stories about what this behavior means. Did you have anything like that?
Absolutely. And what I noticed in the past, and I probably had a little bit of anger and kind of like something along the lines, I mean, this was on the weekend, so it was a few days ago, something along the line of, oh, well, obviously I'm not important. He's busy doing whatever. And then what I did is I reached out to him and I said, are you busy? And he said, not really, I'm just playing video games. And that's when I was like, I had the thought of video games are more important than me.
So 2 triggers there, 2 triggering episodes. And then we did hear that some of the anger, that usually comes first for a lot of people, either anger and then some self-talk like, how could he, you know, how could you? But you went to a more vulnerable story, which is I'm not important, which then gives us a clue to what's your deeper fear. So always when we have these, we call them reactive stories, and Marie's was I'm not important, there's a deeper fear that needs some more tender, loving care by our adult self. And so the deeper fear then we can translate is Marie fears deep down that she's not important. So that's the fear that's going to need to be reassured later on when we repair. We're not going to hop to the repair just yet. We're going to go to the point now where, Marie, you said something to Chris, right?
Yeah, and I just want to say also, I mean, we've been working on this for months and months. So when I noticed the feeling, like you mentioned, that feeling of like in your extremities, like that tingling.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that, because when I feel not important, my first reaction is I have to get away. I have to push him away. I have to run away. I have to protect myself.
Yes.
And I was able to get to that hurt feeling because of all the practice. But yeah, I mean, it's months of practicing this. And what did I say? I messaged you. At first I actually said, I miss you, which I wouldn't have 6 months ago. It would have probably been something snarky.
Yeah.
but I said, I miss you. And then I
Mm-hmm.
said, I miss you too. And then I said, are you busy? Not really, playing video games. Then I noticed getting triggered again.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the practicing, I knew, okay, this is my issue. He hasn't done anything wrong. Whereas before it would have been like, God, you're such a jerk.
And so what, then after you heard the video games comment, did you remember your energy changing in the conversation? Anything, any shutdown or fear coming up?
Well, I just noticed this. I actually I'm doing a video series on my YouTube channel, 100 Days of Vulnerability right now. So I got to, after it all ended, I got to talk about it. And I noticed this feeling, you know, when you start to cry, you kind of get tight in here and up in my upper chest and my throat. Really scared and really, really small and young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. And I want to switch over to you, Chris, now.
Yeah.
So she asked, are you busy? And you said, not really, or something to that effect. Did you get any clue, even then, when she said, are you busy, that there was some other agenda there? I think she started out by saying, I miss you. So that was sweet.
Yeah.
But did you get any feeling, uh-oh, maybe there's something wrong here, or not?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially with the fact that, you know, it's been something that we've been working on for so long that right away when she asked if I was busy, I knew that either something was up or we needed to have, you know, a conversation about something. So
yeah. But 6 or 8 months ago, you would have been like, man, I'm just playing video games.
Yeah.
And then I would have been like, so upset. And he would have had no idea.
I would have been
Yeah. Actually, when you have a partner who gets triggered by some of these things, like Marie does, it will help you, the less tuned into your emotions partner, it will help you learn about your own emotions that don't as easily come to the surface. So I always like to say there's a reason why opposites attract, because we really have something to learn from the opposite type. So in a way, try this on. It's what Marie has overlearned, Chris has underlearned. But no, which is
sure, that's okay.
Tuning in quickly to the emotional side of things. I mean, I'm picking this up because you said clueless. You know, you used to be.
Yeah.
And yet you were, when you shine a light of awareness on yourself at that moment, when she said, are you busy? When you said, not really, I'm just playing video games. Can you feel there's a little bit of stiffness in that? A little bit of, uh-oh, I'm not sure I'm safe here in how you said that? Was there?
Not really, because
No.
I wasn't completely aware of what was going on at the time. But I just kind of had the feeling that like something was up, like clearly something was affecting Marie. And the reason that I stayed, you know, not really just playing video games is because, you know, I could either, depending on the type of video game it is, I could either just pause right away, or like the video game that I was playing recently, I was like, okay, I'm playing a space game that doesn't just stop immediately. I have to get in a port, and then
if it was an emergency, you would have had to park your spaceship first before you called me. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or else my spaceship would have exploded.
Do you see why I would feel unimportant?
Yes, I'm saying to myself, well, that would really push a partner's abandonment buttons or I'm not important buttons, you know. But still, there's two realities here.
Well, hold on. I'm abandoning what I'm doing in the video game to park the ship so I can attend to the person that really
Absolutely.
matters.
Just because she gets triggered by your behavior doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the key, that the partner in Chris's shoes always needs to remember you're not to blame. You're not responsible for the other person's feelings. but you are responsible then to look inside at what's going on in you. So what I'm getting so far, Chris, is that just when she asked you, what are you doing? You just went a little bit more on alert, but it was just awareness. You were still waiting to see, if there was another shoe that was going to drop or anything, but you weren't in a fear state.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
And then was there any moment after that when you began to get a little bit triggered yourself? And I want to put a parenthesis behind my question for the audience. A lot of times, even if I'm calm as can be, if my partner in my same space, my same psychological space gets triggered, I'm going to start to get triggered and start to not feel completely safe.
Probably a little bit, yeah. Especially so, like you said, I'm kind of seeing if the other shoe drops, and then I don't want to say the other shoe drops immediately or whatever, but she basically asked for a phone call, so I knew clearly something was up. So I think my alert level raised a bit, and I kind of I don't know if I kind of felt like scared, like what if I can't fix this? So
yes. So those are some of the elements, so that when the Chris person has self-talk, what if I can't fix this? It's a mild fear reaction, but that's evidence of Chris's trigger, which is I want to do a good job for my partner. I want to be competent. And sometimes maybe the trigger that gets set off is the fear that I can't do it right for her. I can't please her. There's a couple in the book, Eric and Donna. Eric is more of the calm, collected, a little bit shut down type, and Donna is more the expressive, emotional, aware of her needs type. And when they get going, Eric feels, God, it's hopeless. I can't make her happy. Have you ever felt that in the past with Marie?
Yes.
Yeah. But you guys have come through it, just like Eric and Donna do in the book. They come through these phases and get to where you guys are. So then what happened next, either one of you, in that conversation? Was it a telephone conversation, or how was it?
Okay, so I docked my ship.
Oh, but I didn't. Okay, this is what happened on my end.
Okay.
Let's take turns. Yeah.
I didn't get a response right away because this is on Facebook Messenger.
Okay, that's
so I said, do you have time for a phone call or something?
Yeah.
And then I guess he was busy docking his ship, so he didn't respond right away. And then that's when I felt like that all of those emotions rushing to the surface. And I wrote something like, I guess you're busy, frowny face. And then I logged off. You had written, when I saw later I logged on, you had written shortly after that, just give me a minute. But in my mind, because all of this emotional stuff, it happens so fast. It happens in real time, and we're on Facebook. There's a delay.
Yes.
And
the nervous system moves very quickly.
Yeah. And so
hers moves much faster than mine.
Yes, much
good
faster.
Good point.
And I'm a much faster processor. And so I'm already like, part of me, I'm kind of fighting with, okay, I know this is my issue, but I'm also experiencing these emotions that are real at the time. So I'm like, okay, I guess you're busy. And I'm already planning my exit strategy. Well, if I don't hear from him, then I guess I'll just shut down. I won't speak with him, and I'll find a new boyfriend tomorrow. Is basically where I go. And yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so let's just pause right there, just so we bring in the audience, which is, this is very, very common. As soon as we feel that painful trigger, we immediately want to take some kind of action. It's like then the controlling mind, that's what I call it, the ego mind. it wants to protect you from any further harm. So it makes up, well, I've got to start shutting down, pulling away from my partner, ending the relationship, being less available. One of those kind of strategies. So I always, as a counselor, seeing this happen painfully over and over with couples, is try to feel your feelings instead of thinking, what can I do to get away from this feeling? Mm-hmm. And I know you're working on that, Marie, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better now than it was 6 or 8 months ago, for sure. But I mean, obviously, I'm still having that reaction, even though on the one hand, I'm knowing this is my issue. He has anything wrong. I need to handle this effectively. Yeah. The other emotion mind part of me is like, if this doesn't work out, I still have an exit strategy. I still have to protect myself. And because I was at work too, so I'm like, I can't allow myself to get being crying and all of that. So part of me is already like, okay, I have to protect myself. How am I going to keep myself safe?
Yes. So we're back in the territory of reactive stories, which is I have to protect myself, and reactive behaviors, which is logging off. You know, I am just going to cut off any possible hearing of bad news or feeling this anymore, something like that. So people at home, we have to own up to the fact that we do unfortunate reactive behaviors, like running away or making up a story about our partner that is usually false. It's usually based on our worst fear. And that's what triggers are for, to help us see our deeper fears so that we can befriend our fears and actually embrace that, we'll call it the shadow part of ourself, the hidden parts of ourself that we think would make us unlovable, and actually love those parts ourselves. So I know Marie's been doing that work. But let's come back to, so Marie logs off. Chris, you said, okay, give me a minute, and you get no response probably. What happens then in your inner world, Chris?
Well, in my inner world, I wouldn't say I was on, let's say DEFCON 3. Not quite DEFCON 5, you know. but at this point, I had already paused the video game. I had seen her response of, okay, well, I'm out. And I had already typed and hit, yeah, give me a second, I'll call you, and was searching for the phone. So
what was going on for you, though, as like I've left and said, well, obviously you're busy, frowny face, so you know I'm escalated now. So what was happening for you emotionally?
I think, you know, I didn't even think about it at that point in time. And it wasn't even anything that was really occurring to me. It was, like at that point, I knew for sure, okay, there's something that needs to be fixed. And I was on it.
Thank you.
So it sounds like you kind of now trust yourself that you guys can repair this. What would you have done 6 months ago before you learned these tools as well as you've got them now? Do you have any guess about what would have gone on in your mind, you know, seeing the frowny face, you know, like I'm in trouble or something?
I probably would have went like, oh, come on, like one of those.
Oh, good. Finish that sentence. Come on, what? What would have been the rest of that sentence?
I'm trying to keep this radio clean over here, so. But I probably kind of would have had that reaction. Would have been frustrated at the fact that, in just in my mind, what would have been going through would have been like, you know, we're going back and forth on Facebook, and even though I may have Facebook up, I'm not always looking at the screen, so I might miss something. And if she types something, doesn't wait for a response, and types 3 more things, then I'm behind by like 5 things.
Oh yeah, because sorry.
Okay. I would see there she was doing it, typing more. No. But it's like the way that I look at it is it was more of a frustrating thing. Like I get real frustrated with it.
Yeah.
And it was like it just made it tough to heal things because I was getting so frustrated that it was like every time I'd attempt to even go, okay, slow it down, let's try to fix this, she'd always be 3 steps ahead.
You know, that whole idea of slow it down, you've had that even before you got involved with Tatkin's work and my work. You have that instinct in you, and that is a very good instinct for all of us, the slow it down instinct. Because the nervous system, like we were seeing with Marie's nervous system before, boom, boom, boom. When that survival reaction, because that's what it is in the brain, it's just as if there's a tiger that just entered the room and it's about to jump on me. It's like your reptilian brain does a lot of automatic things to keep you safe, just like a wild animal in the jungle would do. We still have that primitive survival system in our human brain. So we have to bring in a higher brain function, and that's why we learn to calm down, slow it down, pause. And we'll be talking about that in a minute here. So that we can get our higher brain back online, and the higher brain kind of says, hey, there's no tiger in the room. This is Marie, my friend, or this is Chris, my friend. So that's something that you instinctively had. So that's great. You guys are great together. I'm so happy for you, really.
He actually told me pretty early on, because he didn't like even talking on the phone when we started dating. We had a couple of days where we pretty much fought all day long on Facebook, and I'm writing these like 3-paragraph, and he's like, in response.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more and more escalated, and he's shutting down. We can't see each other. We can't calm each other down. And so once things calmed down, Chris actually said, I want to do better for you. I want to be able to give you the things that you need. And I need you to stop bombarding me with like a page of emotions, like, because I would just like, it was emotional vomit, like that.
And it's not like I didn't want her to feel her emotions or anything. It was like it was the fact that she bombarded me, which was probably the best term to use, bombarded me with like a full page. And then before I could even start breaking it down, here's another full page, and here's another full page.
Right.
So, it's me trying to slow things down is where I get frustrated. Because
well, Dr. Santakin said you just had to learn how to type faster, babe.
Yeah, that's true, too.
I hope he was joking.
He was.
I mean, that's a very good point, but that's beside the fact, all right?
Yeah. Well, that could be a separate issue. But this whole slow down thing, when a person like Marie is typing furiously and just everything's pouring out, that's another indication that Marie is triggered. And it's great to journal, journal when you're triggered. So I see that as sort of like journaling, writing your feelings. However, when you're in an interaction and you're continuing to talk when you're triggered, it's not going to make sense to your partner because it's not your deepest, most vulnerable truth. We learn how to pause. So this is a big deal in the 5-minute relationship repair process. Is a couple needs to agree to slow it down, pause, take a break, even if it's just a short break. If either person starts to feel triggered, because you're going to start to feel overwhelmed with emotion, with thoughts, with feelings, and you might say things that you're going to later want to take back. Now, let's accept we do those things. We do react fast and so forth. But the sooner we can get this practice of pausing, the better. So have you guys done anything with the pause idea? I'm curious.
We have. I think we've kind of turned it into we've kind of hybrid systems to kind of work like what's best for us.
Yeah,
is what we do. So we don't necessarily pause, but sometimes we've needed it. Like sometimes I've had to straight up say and not in a rude fashion, but like firmly, like we need to stop. Like we need to stop this. We need to take a minute and then we need to discuss it. And yeah, that does help, but it's like we've kind of found our own hybrid way of dealing with it as well. But yeah, sometimes it is necessary. Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's actually better at, because I'll, in Dr. Santakin's stuff, he talks about processing speed. I'm a fast processor. Chris is much slower at processing his emotions.
Tortoise and a hare. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the helpful thing is, because I'm like 8 miles ahead in Triggerville, and Chris will actually say, Marie, you need to stop. It would help probably if you said, I need you to stop instead of you. But I mean, he tells me, please stop, slow down.
Yeah.
I can't process this. And he's gotten a lot better. I mean, 8 or 9 months ago, he would have just shut down. Now he says, he reminds me, Marie, I can't process as fast as you. And that helps me a little bit to step back.
Yeah.
But
that's the equivalent. In a sense, that's the equivalent of asking for a pause. It's usually, in general, better if you say, I need to slow this down. However, it sounds like you, Chris, were able to say you need to stop in a kind of tone of voice that was connected to yourself and to your partner. It's really, tone of voice is huge here. If you can say something in a soothing, friendly tone of voice, it makes a big, big difference.
Well, I wouldn't say that was always in a soothing tone, but I mean, like I said, I think the way that I do it is just to more bring attention to the fact that we needed to slow things down. So it would almost be, like I said, a little more firmer, but like, so it would show the urgency behind it.
Yes. And just kind of neutral, if possible. Fairly neutral. And what a lot of couples are able to do, and I think you guys probably do this sometimes, is as soon as anybody recognizes that there's a trigger and somebody says something, the thing to say is anything at all that indicates, hey, we're going toward the hole, or we're going into Troublesville here. Oh, we're not doing well, or I'm triggered, or we're triggered. Just having that language then gives you power over what used to be an unconscious reaction in yourself. So people need to get skilled at the words, hey, I'm starting to get triggered. Try to do it before you get fully triggered. I'm starting to get triggered. So those words are good. Or sometimes you might short circuit the whole thing with, I need a hug. Or if your partner looks like she's triggered, you put your hand on her hand if you're in the same location, or you get close to each other like you're doing now. We call this co-regulation in the couples counseling business. It's where you help your partner feel safe. And children need parents who help them feel safe when they're upset. And a lot of us don't get quite enough of that wired into our nervous system. That when we're upset, it's not the end of the world. It's not Panicsville. So we need a partner later on where we can learn these tools, where the partner can co-regulate us, which means help us feel loved, supported, and accepted. So touch is always a good thing, unless your partner is so highly triggered that a touch would be triggering. How's touch work for you, Marie?
Generally touch works pretty well. Yeah, if it escalates too much, then I have to leave. And a lot of times I'll walk away, which is a trigger for you. And what I need is for you to follow me, but you get triggered because I walk away. But for the most part, in person is we're pretty okay at in person, because we can look at each other, we can touch. I can say I need a hug. And Chris is very good at touching me, which is nice. It's when it's Facebook is the absolute, or Facebook or text is, I'm sure for most couples,
for everybody,
the absolute worst.
Right, because you don't have body to body, the contact of the possibility of body to body contact.
And I mean, that's also the reason that and the thing is I'm still not a huge fan of just over the phone. I prefer in person, greatly over text or Facebook as well. So I think, like, for me, it's just one of those things where that was from the start almost a miscommunication as well, is that I didn't necessarily prefer texting over phone conversation. It's just I greatly prefer seeing each other.
Yeah, but if I don't see you for 3 days, and I've literally got a new guy by then, like, you're on your own, buddy. If I don't see you, like, if we can't, because even on the phone, we have like tone of voice is so important, and because Chris processes more slowly than I do, I mean, it's better, but a lot of the time it's not enough. Now we're able to slow it down a little bit more, and so we can usually work through things over the phone. But yeah, I mean, 8 months ago, even on the phone, it would still escalate, I think. Yeah.
Let's talk a little more about the fast processor, slow processor difference, because I imagine a lot of people in our audience have been in a relationship where that's kind of the issue, and one person winds up feeling overwhelmed and the other person winds up feeling kind of not met, that dynamic. And what we learn about the nervous system when two nervous systems are triggered is neither nervous system is in a good place to process a lot of words. You might be spewing out a lot of words, but when you're triggered, words are like weapons. Or they're like, in the book, we call them like shovels, like you're digging the hole deeper with your words. Even if you're just trying to explain yourself. That's one of the most common use of words, is explaining yourself. If I just say a few more words, my partner will understand why I'm upset, or they'll understand why they shouldn't be upset, Never works. Never works. Give it up. Don't talk until you're calmer and until you've looked in yourself a little bit more. So here's the place where we talk about loving our fears. Until when Marie gets that I'm not important trigger happening, there's a young person in there. There's a little girl, Marie. Now, she may not, and so those of you in the audience, you may not have specific memories about what that little girl didn't get completely, what needs didn't get met, but almost all of us have some unmet needs as children. And I can just see the softening in both of you right now, and your eyes, Marie, it just warms my heart. It says to me that you have compassion for this little girl who probably didn't get all of her needs met. And just by softening around that, the way Marie's demonstrating for us, and if you have a partner like Chris, all the better, because it's like a reparenting. It's like you are getting now what you didn't get enough of when you were little, and you're giving it to yourself, and you're willing to ask for it from your partner. So we have to swallow our pride. We have to, push aside any shame about having needs or being triggered. And that's the hard work, to realize that these are beautiful parts of a relationship, are vulnerable parts. And when we show them, when we take this wounded child and show her to our partner, they can't help but love us. It's when we say, I'm out of here, or you don't deserve me, or when we do those reactive things, that our partner shuts down and kind of proves that our worst fears are true. But when we learn how to calm ourselves down and then pause and really feel, oh, there's some hurt inside of me that I bring to this relationship. It's not my partner's fault. He didn't cause this. He's a trigger. And our relationship is this learning laboratory where we learn how to grow through our triggers and heal. Mm-hmm. So that's the territory.
Yeah, I have to say, sorry, did I just?
Okay.
The 100 days of vulnerability, like doing a daily vulnerability practice is actually, I mean, even I just started at the beginning of the year, and I think things have like exponentially gotten better just in like the last 5 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a process, because a few weeks ago we were talking on the phone. I was on my way to work, I think, and I got triggered, and I actually used the 5-minute relationship repair, which I'll leave for you to bring up. But Chris heard it. I knew I said it because of what I wanted to say was something kind of attacking.
Yeah.
And then this is your fault somehow, right? But instead what I did is I used the technique, and whenever you think it's appropriate to bring up, I'll
let me pull out my repair statement here. We've got this, I've got one that's kind of halfway filled out. We're not going to try to show it on the screen here, but it's in the workbook that Marie mentioned, which you can download for free at 5minuterelationshiprepair.com, and that's 5 spelled out like the word 5.
Where's this repair? I have a pause agreement.
Are you missing?
You have a repair statement there?
Oh, you know what? This might be one.
That's the one that's missing the page.
This is half of it. Yeah. Maybe there's a second half.
Oh, well, you need somebody, in the back of the book too.
Yes.
Here is the book. And in the back of the book is the same information that's in the workbook. And you really need the whole book to.
I have it somewhere. I just
know what to do
on the top of the pile, and I got it.
Yeah, and you don't need it right now. I'm saying this to the audience. Audience, you need the whole book in order to know what to do with this little repair statement. But this is the grand finale. Once you've softened into your vulnerability and are to some degree accepting of that vulnerability, and this is a life's work. For most of us, we weren't raised in a culture that really wanted to hear about all of our upset feelings. Most of us as children, when we cried because we were unhappy and needed something, parents aren't perfect. So to some degree, even if you had pretty great parents, to some degree, that makes a parent uncomfortable. It's like Chris saying, how can I fix this? How can I fix Marie when she's hurting? Parents are naturally uncomfortable. And so they want to fix the child. And that anxiety comes across to the child. If you can just imagine yourself as a tiny little screaming infant, and your parent doesn't know how to console you. So all of us got some kind of a message there, almost all of us, except the maybe most enlightened parents, that our feelings were inconvenient for somebody, our upset feelings. So finding a partner who will do this work with you, and all the way to the repair process, which is what we're going to get to now, will heal your feelings that your emotions are a nuisance. Or if you're the other type, that when somebody else is upset with you, it doesn't mean I'm bad or wrong. They're hurting, and I get to feel sorrow that I hurt them, not like guilty that I hurt them. Like, you know, I'm responsible, I'm to blame, you know, not to feel blamed. That's a really hard challenge. If somebody's upset with me, then I start to feel blamed. And are you telling me I'm not good or I'm bad or wrong? So we've got all kinds of childhood stuff that we can heal. We really can. So the repair statement is, let's pick one of your reactive behaviors to start with, Marie. I guess there wasn't a walking out really, but there was a kind of walking out digitally, in the sense that you shut off your Facebook. And I don't know if that's enough of a reactive behavior to want to redo, or was there another one, like sometime when you really did walk out in the past? We'll just use some reactive behavior as a example.
Well, I'm looking at the reactive behaviors: leave, walk out, move away, defend yourself, talk over the other and interrupt.
She's got like all of them checked.
I have like 80% of these.
I was teasing.
Interrogate, question, ask for explanation. Like, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's a lot better now. But yeah, I did, because when on the Facebook thing, like, I shut down because I also knew part of it was reactivity, and then a part of it was a little bit effective, I think, because I knew that the longer I sat there staring at the screen waiting for a response, the more escalated I was going to become.
That's wise then, to change your scenery sometimes.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, it was a reactive thing, but it was also because in the past, instead of turning it off, my reactive thing would have been paragraph of why he's such a jerk for not responding immediately.
Let's go to that, just because that's more typical as a reactive behavior from the person who first gets triggered, would be let's call it some kind of criticism. Okay, so the criticism in this case will be, you're a jerk. Or a passive aggressive
Something like, well, I guess that's it. I guess we're done, or something. I probably would have said, yeah, I guess we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take that one, because that's probably even more common for what human beings do nowadays in anger is, hey, we're done. So the repair statement has a bunch of fill in the blank sentences, which kind of prod you into making a vulnerable confession, a revision, and then a request. So first you say, I see now that when I said, and whatever your reactive behavior was, like, we're done, I was triggered. It was probably my fear, and then we've got another blank, my fear of, and whatever the fear was, my fear that I'm not important to you coming out. That's the trigger. The trigger is always a fear, a story that confirms your worst fear. So like if it was Chris's case, you know, maybe he said something cold. So he'd say, you know, I'm sorry. I said, well, that's it. You didn't deserve. Oh, the other part I like to add in is, you didn't deserve that, and I'm so sorry I said it. That's not in the book, but I've added that since. I think that really helps. And I see now that it was probably my, you know, in Chris's case, like my fear of being wrongly accused, or my fear of not being enough, or my fear of feeling helpless, some of those fears acting up. And then it's like, when I heard you say nothing, you know, maybe in Marie's case, when I didn't hear anything back from you, I told myself, and then she has a reactive story, I told myself I'm not important to you. So she's just kind of revealing to Chris what she's discovered about herself. This triggered feelings that are similar to old, you know, and then she can mention old memories when. We don't have to go to the old memories piece to do a good repair. But are there any old memories that you'd care to to share that actually do get triggered from like childhood that you might sometime reveal to Chris to help him not take your reaction so personally?
I'm not sure if I've told you this or not, but there's like I have patchy memories from childhood, but there's one image that I have in my mind. Like I'm just getting teary bringing it up. I think I've told you this, but when I was 4 years old, the first time I went into foster care, I was taken away from my mom, and I was in this big house all by myself, and it's dark, and I'm looking out the window, and this is probably one of the reasons I have so much trouble sleeping too. And I'm looking down out the window, crying and like wishing that my mom would come and get me. So that image is very vivid, of just trying to, my 4-year-old self, like trying to soothe myself in whatever way that I can, because I'm completely alone.
I'm all alone. And that's the deepest fear that a lot of us have. It brought up the fear that I'm all alone here. And so we learned to say that. You know, it brought back memories when I was wishing for my mom to come when I was first in foster care, and I just felt completely alone. So,
I really was alone too. It wasn't like I was making it up. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so it was a real survival issue. When we're little and we're left alone, it really does threaten our survival. So some of us who were left alone a little or a lot as really little people, we're going to have a strong scanner for, is it safe here? Am I loved? Or am I all alone and maybe have to protect myself? So then to continue with the repair process here, so you say this triggered feelings similar to, you know, you not responding to me in some way, like writing immediately back on Facebook, triggered all memories like what Marie just shared. And so now you've shared your vulnerability. Now you're going to practice a more conscious response. So you say to your partner, if I had it to do over, I would have told you I was starting to get scared. And what I need more than anything else is reassurance that I'm not alone, or that I am important to you, or something, one of those deep needs. So let's go over some of the core needs that we could confess and reveal to our partner. Things like, I need to feel close to you. I need to feel accepted by you. I need to feel wanted, important, like I'm good enough, things like that. So that language, you can kind of, in the book, you can kind of find helpful language that will help you find yourself on this whole grid of different core needs. But they're the same needs that an infant has to grow up healthy. Those are the same needs that we have with an adult partner. And we can give ourselves that. So when Marie asks for that kind of reassurance, I need reassurance that I'm not alone, then how does that feel to you, Chris?
Well, it's actually very helpful in having to fix the situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, in that situation that we were talking about, because we had been through it a couple times, I knew what was needed. So when I finally made that phone call, I reassured her that we're in this together.
Beautiful. That's it. That's those kind of words are the core reassurances that repair. That's the complete repair process right there. We just saw it.
And thank you, Susan. Also, I have to say that because we've been working on this for a while now, we don't have to repair as much. Like, I am able to get into the story that I'm telling myself is this. This is what I'm needing. Like, I'm able to do that before we have a fight and react as much. And I think you as well. Yeah. Like, he'll ask me to slow down and things like that. Whereas before, I'd just bombard him. He'd shut down. Then I'm abandoned. He's like covering himself from my, you know, like the
Yeah.
bombs I'm throwing at him. So we've been able to get, for the most part, past that so far.
Yeah.
And also what I'm noticing too is that because I feel now much more secure in this relationship, but I've never felt so secure in a relationship before, is that the more secure I feel, the less reactive I get. And when I do feel it, I'm able to remember, okay, this is me. This isn't Chris attacking me or abandoning me. And I just feel stronger as an individual, so I don't feel as constantly needy.
And it's also been something where my own personal triggers have stretched so far apart. And when they do come up, I can also recognize that it's, you know, it's just me feeling in a specific way. And almost, I mean, a lot of times with myself, almost self-repair them fast enough that when we get to them, you know, she's already trying to repair. And I'm like, we're actually past that already.
Yeah, like we're good.
Yeah.
But let her do it anyway, because she needs to continue to rewire the nervous system to be tender with her vulnerable feelings, and also to speak the more conscious words to her partner that are like, what I need from you more than anything is to feel like I'm not alone. And just for the people in the audience, because this, what do you need? You know, a lot of people are going to say to their partner, I need you too. That does not work, folks. You'll have to read the book to get why that doesn't work. But we have to learn in our communication to speak from just what you need to feel as a vulnerable human being. And, you know, the partner may or may not be able to give that to you, but it's better to reveal a need rather than to kind of direct the other person, you know, I need you to. Now, you can say to your partner, would you like to hear the exact words that would calm my nervous system down? And then the partner will probably say yes, and then you can direct them. But it's kind of tricky when you say to your partner, I need you to, because people just generally resist being controlled.
Well, and even taking that type of, like Marie's done that a couple times where she said, this is exactly what I need to hear, because and like I said, sometimes I'm processing so slowly that it's tough to figure out exactly what to do. So like the times that she's done that, she's Barack Obama bailed me out of those situations a few times. So.
No, that's great, because a guy like Chris just wants to, I'm going to say fix it, because you used that word, you know, he just wants to know what's the thing I can do to feel competent again. And you give him a way to succeed, and then everybody's happy.
And he does remind me too, whether it's because it might not be something that he's done, but like before your birthday party, you were gonna go to like another comedy club and do a set and like leave the party that I brought like 30 people to his birthday party, and he might have to leave the party and go do a show, and then I have to like take care of. So I was like starting to get triggered, and I'm getting into like, okay, how can I protect myself from this? And he said to me, babe, let me handle it. I'll fix it. Because I was already trying to start fixing it for him and figuring it all out. And he reminded me, no, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take care of us. You got to let me figure it out in the way that I need to do it. And then you did.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when a couple like Chris and Marie have worked with these tools. You get to know how to quickly reassure your partner's fears. So Chris has learned, let me fix it. Let me handle it. You're not alone. See, that's the key reassurance that Marie needs. And you learn this through hearing about their fears, sometimes in an awkward, unpleasant way. But when you do the healing work that this repair statement forces you to do or guides you to do, you develop your intuition about your partner.
Yeah.
Well, you guys poster children for these processes that
it's worked so well. We went from like fighting for hours in the beginning, and it was just complete drama, and I was like, I can't do this, I don't want to be with you. I was trying to push him away, and I mean it was a long process. Yeah, but we were both making a little bit we were both making enough progress. Like, it was still really hard and painful and uncomfortable, but we were both making enough progress that we could see that it was worth it to keep trying. And
we had to remind each other of that a few times.
Yeah, and now it's just, I mean, it's been what, 10 and a half months? Almost 11 months.
Almost 11 months.
And it's gone from drama and I give it 6 months of drama and before we hate each other, is what I had figured. And now this is the best relationship I've ever had in my life. Yeah.
Well, what a great ending.
Yeah.
We have a happy ending here, folks. And, you know, life keeps throwing us challenges, and these two have the tools now that they can handle any challenge. Because it's so much easier to face life's challenges when you're not alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Susan, for the work that you do, because, yeah. And thank you, Chris. I mean, the willingness, because like you had said, Susan, if you have a partner who's willing to keep trying and willing to work and capable of learning these skills over time, I mean, that's just, it's valuable.
Well, thank you for giving me shot after shot after shot after shot.
And he kept asking though, because I was like, that's it, I want to break up, I'm done, I can't be with you. And you could have walked away, but you said, no, I know I can do better. I just need you to be patient with me while I learn. Yeah. And it's not like he was the only one learning, it was both of us.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we call it a wrap for today?
Yeah. Okay. So do you want to?
I should tell you my website, and the book again is
5-Minute
Relationship Repair, and my co-author is John Gray. And it starts with the neurobiology of love, and then goes through all the emotional parts of love. And really, I think in the end, it shows you how love can transport you to a place where you're not so identified with protecting your ego, but really become a we. You know, really join with another person. And that, I think, helps us prepare ourselves for a life of joining with others in a cooperative way without being afraid of our differences. So this is a laboratory for learning how to love somebody who's very different from you. That's what relationships are. And the planet needs that right now. We need to learn to deal with people who we perceive as very different from us. So peace on earth, that's really our mission here.
Absolutely. Again, so it's 5-Minute Relationship Repair is the name of the book. 5minuterelationshiprepair.com is the website, and
with 5 being a word, not
5 F-I-V-E.
Yeah, and then my website's susancampbell.com, spelled like Campbell soup. And I have lots of other products, like I have a couple of card games that partners or families can play. Did you guys ever see those card games?
No, we love card games.
Oh, they are fabulous. There's the Getting Real card game and the Truth in Dating card game. There's even a Truth at Work card game for work teams to help people learn to communicate with more trust and openness and vulnerability. in a fun way, you know, making it fun.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
cool.
We gotta check
My
that out.
website has that. That's the SusanCampbell.com website.
Great.
Check it out.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, I will post the link. I'll put the
Down there.
Susan's website
Right
and
down
5
there.
Minutes Relationship Repair below in the description.
Yeah.
That's the word for it. In
Thank
the
you.
description. So you can visit there. And of course, do you do sessions like this?
I do couples coaching by Skype or telephone. And I also do workshops regularly. So if you go to SusanCampbell.com, you'll see a way to subscribe to my newsletter. And then you'll hear about, I do couples workshops on this material and also on the 10 truth skills that people need to live an authentic life. So I'm author of another book and a series of books about getting real. So it's basically about how to be honest in the most difficult of situations.
So yeah, if you are in a relationship, if you want to be in a relationship, I mean, even great relationships have room for growth. But this has been not only our relationship, but just our own personal individual lives. We're just such stronger people in the world, and it really does have a ripple effect on the rest of the planet. And so yeah, check it out.
And thanks for the great show that you're doing. It's a great service. And to both of you today for bringing your life here and showing us all that it's possible.
Thank you so much, Susan. Okay, well, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel. And Susan, you have a YouTube channel as well.
I have a YouTube channel. I have lots of videos about myself working with people like this. It's Dr. Susan 95472.
Okay, and I'll link to that as well, and I'll put a card.
95472. Yeah, that's my zip code. So
okay.
Cool.
Dr. Susan, and then my zip code in California.
Awesome. So subscribe to us, and if there's anyone, like, share this on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever. If you think that anyone in your friends group might benefit from this, rather than shoving it down their throat and saying you're terrible at relationships, just share it. And then they can watch it and see for themselves. So thank you. Happy New Year. And Susan, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, that's good. I've been delighted to have this chance to work with the two of you beautiful people. And thanks to everyone who watches this and spreads the word.
Thank you so much. Well, I want to send you lots of love. Cheers and blessings to your relationships and your life this year. Be well. We love you so much. Namaste.